All right, boys. It's time for the weekly Stonks update. We'll start it in a few minutes. I'll probably just ramble a bit until we do start it. I'm going to get the Stonks account in here. I am shadow banned, so I don't know why. Probably someone who's salty for missing Stonks is mass reporting me or spamming me with bots. I don't really know. Don't really care too much because it can't stop us from what's coming. So I'm just going to grab the Stonks account and bring it on up here. Everyone be sure to like and retweet the room, and instead of in the purple pill, because there is no purple pill because I'm shadow banned, pinned up to the room is the link that you can like and retweet. If you've already retweeted it, just unretweet and then retweet it again. Get it out there. If one of the mods can post it in the Telegram and pin it and do the pin and ping all, that'd be great. Here we go. Here's the Stonks account. Invite to co-host. And then here we go. Today's weekly update is going to be a little bit different from normal. It's not going to be just the market update and then Stonks update. It's going to have a little bit extra. We're going to talk about trading tips and tricks, portfolio management, risk management, all that stuff. And I want to preface this by saying none of this is financial advice. I'm just telling you what has worked for me. I don't necessarily recommend, despite if I use the word recommend, I don't necessarily recommend anything, right? This is just an account of what has worked for myself. I hope it helps. Let me just blast this to a couple people in DMs. Here we go. Where's the other chat? There we go. Alrighty. Yeah, we should be good to start. I'm not going to be letting anyone up on stage unless it's someone that is Saucy or Daisy or Josh or something like that, because it's not going to be open mic for a little bit. I'm just going to be rambling for the first bit, but then we'll do an open mic Q&A at the end, per usual. So first I want to say, man, what a week. What an absolute week, dude. Bitcoin smashed 89K today, right? ETH hit 3,300 if I'm remembering correctly, and everything just looks so good. We have played the market exactly how you would want to. We caught every single low since July. If you've been coming to our spaces a lot, we've caught every single low within $100 since July, and now we're reaping the rewards. We bought all the dips and everything's moving into price discovery or close to it. And so first I want to say right now there's three stages to a cycle as a whole, and also like this liquidity rotation that happens over the course of a cycle, it also happens in small time frames as well. And so that liquidity rotation is Bitcoin, and then it moves from Bitcoin into Ethereum and some alts like Solana, and then it moves from there into on chain. And so that's your small caps, that's your meme coins, that's stuff like Pepe, right? And all your micro caps. And then it flows down to your smaller memes. And each liquidity rotation is exponentially larger. That's why I personally, despite knowing that Bitcoin is going to outperform everything at the moment, and it has, I don't hold any Bitcoin because I know that when the liquidity rotation comes to ETH, it's going to be exponentially more than the climb that Bitcoin had. And then it's going to be exponentially more for Pepe and all the large cap memes, and then exponentially more for mid caps and so on, right? So that's the purpose of a well diversified portfolio. But I personally, I just stick to the mid and the low cap memes and also a couple large caps. But majority is in mid and low cap memes because that's where most of the money is made. If you want to turn a couple $1,000s into $1 million a cycle, that's where the real money's made. Finding these low risk, high reward plays, majority of which are on ETH. There's some elsewhere where there are good memes, proven teams, proven narratives, and a strong community. And that's where the real money's made. That's where I'm positioned. And so I'm fine watching Bitcoin fly and Stonks just slow grinds up. into the top of our bull flag. That's extremely bullish to me because what I think is about to happen is Bitcoin is going to have a minor correction and maybe retest mid to low 80s, or if we're really lucky, it might even get down into the 70s. And if that happens, and it doesn't need to happen, by the way, Bitcoin can just keep on chatting. This is not my base case. This is just one potential scenario. And if that happens, then alts are going to get a chance to catch up to Bitcoin. And so, in the case of any pullback, or even if Bitcoin keeps going, the more time that goes on, the more chances that altcoins will have to catch up. And when that happens, Bitcoin or Stonks is going to break out of its bull flag in a massive way. It's not going to be just a candle from 18 mil to 22 mil. It's going to be like 18 to 30 out of nowhere. These massive plus 50% candles are going to come to most of our mid to small cap memes that are sitting around the 20 mil range. And there are many of them, right? They're going to be putting in big 50% candles soon, in my opinion, of course. So that's where we're at in the market right now. We've played everything perfectly. And my hat's off to all who have stayed with us through the entire bull flag, like the giant Bitcoin bull flag. Props to everyone who made it and who bid the dips with us. Because again, we caught like every single dip since July within $100. It was pretty incredible. And a lot of credit goes to Kaz, by the way. He's not here, but he helped a good deal. And yeah, everything's ready. Realistically, I think we could see all-time highs this week based off of the Stonks chart. Let me pull up the Stonks chart real quickly. I don't want to make any mistakes. Here we go. I personally am directing the chart a lot in the past few days. In the past 4 days, I've added 30 ETH or so to my Stonks bag to make sure that we break out of the bull flag here. I'm making sure that it happens. I don't care how much it costs. I've still got a lot sidelined to help force this breakout. I'm not worried at all. This is definitely when we break out of the bull flag here. My deck screen is almost done loading. But the main thing that I'm looking at on our chart is MACD. So MACD on Stonks has easily been the most reliable indicator. And it's not this way for every chart, right? Every chart trades differently. There are some charts that you don't need any indicators for, like Brainlet. All you need is that normie trend line of higher lows. Like Mog very early on, they look the exact same. And some charts you need a lot of indicators, like Bobo. Bobo's a chart you need a lot of indicators for because the price action seems almost random. You need RSI for that one. But for Stonks, the main indicator that I like to use is MACD. And that's because the bullish and bearish crosses are extremely telling. They're very telling. So if you guys want to pull up your Stonks charts, this is something that anyone can do. So pull up the MACD on the 1-day chart for Stonks, and if you look and you zoom out at every time that we've had either a bullish or bearish cross after launch, like the first cross was a bearish cross, and that was on June 21st. We had a bearish cross, and then the following week we dropped from 12 mil all the way down to 4 mil. And then we didn't have a bullish cross until the 14th of July, but it was a very quick one. And we had a bearish cross on the 19th of July, so we ignore that one. But when we had a bearish cross on the 19th, the following week we dropped from 6 mil down to 4 mil and then 2 mil soon after, right? So the bearish crosses, they're 2 for 2. They always work. We had a bullish cross on the 8th of August, and the following day we went from the next day we went from 3 mil ish to 9 mil, right? And then we had a bearish cross on the 19th of August, and in the following week we dropped from 4 mil down to 2 mil. So like these crosses are on point. They indicate a major shift in momentum whenever one of these happens. They're extremely reliable. And then we come to more recently, since we've been in an uptrend for a while, we've had bullish crosses for the most part that are playing out. So on September, we got a bullish cross at 2 mil market cap. And then we climbed all the way to 6 mil, 6.5 mil. And then we had a bearish cross. And after we had the bearish cross at 6.5 mil, we dropped all the way down to just under 4 mil. Then we had a bullish cross down there at around 4 mil. And we climbed from 4 mil all the way up to 26 mil, right? So these crosses are extremely consistent, they're very reliable, and they have been extremely on point in the Stonks chart. Then we had a bearish cross at the 15 mil, and we dropped from 15 down to 10, right? And then we only recently had a bullish cross. And so we just got our bullish cross 2 days ago. And that was at 15 mil or so. Since then, we've climbed to 22 mil 2 days in a row, and we've rejected off that line, but we're building momentum, making higher lows, right? And I think today's candle, tomorrow is the day that we break through it. I feel very strongly that this time we're going to slice right through 21 mil. We're going to hold, and it'll be off to the races soon. Just awaiting some catalysts, right? I've been trying to list a certain exchange, but they haven't been moving very slowly. But that's going to happen ideally tomorrow, but I'm not confident how quick it's going to move. If anything, I'll just start shoving again. Like, I've already dropped 30 ETH into the chart in the past few days. What's another 30 ETH? So I'll just keep on buying. I'm going to force the breakout. I don't care. We are breaking out here. And yeah, so we got our bullish cross. I honestly think all-time highs this week are possible. If this is anything like our previous bullish cross, like we jumped from 4 mil up to 26 mil on our last bullish cross. So that's a what, 6.5 x over the course of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, yeah. So if we're keeping that consistent, if we're keeping consistent with it, a 6.5x in 2 weeks, I don't really know if that's happening, but that would land us around the linear 1.618. It'd be around 80 mil. And I'm not saying that we get that in 2 weeks. I don't think that's super. I don't think that's a safe assumption, although it's definitely possible, right? We've seen how powerful these bull flags are. Like, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it just broke out of a massive bull flag that it was in for a long time, in an uncharacteristically long time. And then it broke out and it's just putting in God candle after God candle every single day. It's insane. And that's exactly what Stonks is doing. Stonks is sitting at the upper range of its bull flag and it's just waiting for a breakout. And when we do break out, there's going to be some serious God candles here. So I'm very excited. It's going to be insane. And ideally tomorrow, I'm going to be talking with the whales. I would like to force a daily close above 25 mil ish. That's the target. Realistically, though, anything above 21 mil as a close is pretty good, but I'd like to force a close above 25 mil. So if anyone wants to help with that, you don't need to be in the whale chat to help direct the daily closes with me. And yeah, it's going to be crazy. Also, earlier today, I don't know if you guys saw the Hoppy chart. This is just a sidetrack. I don't know if you guys saw the Hoppy chart, but someone got hacked. I think they got hacked anyways because they dumped like literally every meme coin that they have. They dumped multi six figures worth of Andy. They dumped multi six figures worth of Hoppy, and then they dumped like $6,000 worth of stonks. Like, not that much stonks, but they still had some stonks. And RIP to whoever that was that got hacked. I hope they're doing all right. I hope they had multiple wallets. But yeah, that's insane that happened. But that's why we've got a bit of a wick right now because someone's wallet got hacked and they sold 6K while we were already at 18 mil. So we dropped down to 17. It looks really good regardless. These big wicks to the bottom, I like seeing them. And it's not even a big wick on Stonks right now. I like seeing those because it leaves us room for a bull hammer. It just looks super good. Oh, also, let me find the fractal that I made. I figured out how to make fractals on Deck Screener the other day. I know how to use them on TradingView, but I didn't know how to do them on Deck Screener. I just recently figured them out. Let me see if I can find that, and I'll pin that to the room. Fractal. Sorry, I know I'm getting sidetracked, Usually I try not to, but here we go. I just pinned it to the room. There's a fractal of the previous bullish cross, right? So the last time that we had a bullish cross was in that retracement from 6 mil to 4 mil, and then we had a bullish cross and we flew up from there. So I took that circled area and I made that a fractal and I overlaid that over our current retracement. And so this is just an idea of how vertical these breakouts are going to be when we do have them. Like it's going to be straight to all-time highs in just a couple days. Like again, like I said, it very easily could be this week. No promises. I don't want anyone to be all moon boy, right? We are logical traders here, and my goal is to educate. I don't want to make anybody into a moon boy, but realistically, we could see all-time highs this week if we do follow this fractal, and then 100 mil plus in the very near future. What does this fractal say? Or the beginning of December. According to the fractal, that's what's going to happen. I don't think that's necessarily the most likely. That's like the bullish case. But yeah, overall, it looks really good. The Stonks chart looks really good. I think that's everything that I have to say about the Stonks chart and everything that I needed to say about the market. Now we get to talk about some of the fun stuff. So I've got some notes that I myself have made, some tips for you guys. I myself, I'm a trader. I'm just like you guys. I haven't been here for multiple cycles. I got here in March and I started my crypto journey and I just really focused on learning and that's how I got to where I am now. And I started with $1,000 and I've worked my way up to a seven-figure portfolio in that time because I focused on learning. I've treated this like my full-time job and I treat crypto like you get exactly out of it what you put into it. And if you give it your all and you outwork everybody, then you're going to outperform everybody. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in crypto if you really focus on learning. And I never copy trade people. Like I don't just get into a play because some big name is in it. Like I've never really sized into a crash play. I've never sized into a Murad play or a Max from Because Bitcoin play. I don't really do that. That's not my thing. And I don't recommend being a copy trader because at the end of the day, you're not learning and you're not doing your own thing and improving on yourself. You may outperform if you copy trade in the short term, but in the long term, it's taking handouts versus teaching yourself how to fish. What I did and what I would recommend for anyone to do if you're new and you're trying to learn how to be successful, rule number one is focus on learning, right? Um, if you focus on learning, there's nothing that can go wrong, right? You have something to learn from everybody even if someone has a really bad take on something, someone like Credible, who doesn't make sense, and he's obviously paid by exchanges to be bearish on the timeline. It's very obvious. But even from people like him, there's something to be learned. Um, I say approach every situation with a learning mentality, try and get something out of everything. And there are three types of people in this market. There are losers, and those are people who take losses and they copy trade, right? They take losses because they're copy trading and they're losing money on plays that aren't their own. Therefore, they're not learning anything. And they're probably sideliners or they're quitting crypto because they had a bad experience, right? Those are losers. There are people who are learners who are not making money, but they're learning and becoming better at crypto, right? Becoming more experienced and becoming better in general. And then there are winners who spent their time learning and now they're making money, right? And winners are also learners. You never stop being a learner. Like the other day, I lost like $20,000 on a trade. It is what it is, right? You have to move past it, take what you can out of it, not let it affect you mentally or emotionally, and move forward. And I'm glad that I lost that $20,000 on a leverage trade because $20,000 now, it may feel like a lot of money for me now, but further down in the cycle, this time next year, hopefully, I'm going to be doing seven-figure leverage trades. And I'd rather lose the money now than lose it later. And you should never make the same mistake twice. So yeah, I'm saving myself money and I'm learning a lot by taking those losses. It's very important. So that was the first thing that I'd say. And circling back to the copy trading, I don't copy trade people. I don't really recommend it. My rules for myself that I set early on, I'm gonna derail myself again. But I would say that when I was new, I studied people, not their plays, but I studied people and how they think. And people specifically like Max from Because Bitcoin, David, Sikasa, Plasma, Crash, right? Those are the people on my list. And I didn't really copy trade them. Although if they're on my do not fade list, then if they shout something out, I'm gonna buy it, right? Everyone should have a do not fade list and always stick by your do not fade list because sometimes you're going to fade them and then you're going to be upset that you faded them, right? Just have a do not fade list, keep it short, and never fade them. But I didn't copy trade those guys. I studied their mentality and I studied the way they thought and the type of requirements that they had to get into a play. And that's kept me to have a 100% win rate on everything that I've ever sized into on spot. On leverage, no one ever has a 100% win rate. But on spot, I do because I stick by that rule of taking the mentality and the requirements and the expectations that these super successful people have and applying that to my own plays. A big win of mine was Dodo, and I got into Dodo not because Sikasa shared it, although that's how it was put on my radar. If Sikasa didn't share it on his timeline, I would not have gotten in because I just didn't know about it. But I didn't get into Dodo just because I saw it out there. I got into Dodo because I saw Dodo and I saw it used commonly with Bobo, and Bobo was following the Dodo account, and so in my mind, it was a matter of I think Bobo's going to 10 billion plus. So if that happens, then Dodo has to go to at least 100 mil. And I bought in with $200 at 500K market cap, and then I sold at 20 mil. And I made a good amount of money off that. That was my first big win in crypto. But the reason that I formulated that thesis is because it was very similar to the thesis that Crash had for Brett. And in my mind, it just made sense. And that's what I was modeling it after. And then Bird Dog was the same line of reasoning, except it was modeled after Max, right? Max, he recently bought into Andy right before I bought into Bird Dog. And I was like, okay, it makes sense that he wants all the Boys Club characters to be on ETH. We'll see if that ends up happening, which it has. And so I bought into Bird Dog on ETH. And that one went from 1 mil all the way to 25 mil. You got to formulate your own thesis based off of the thesis that you see in other people. And it's okay to have conviction in something that other people have shared, right? Like I hold Bobo in size, I hold Andy in size, and I hold Wolf in size. And that's okay. But I don't really focus on those plays. I focus on my own plays. And I would recommend everyone to do that. Like I see MG down there. MG, her biggest, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. She holds a lot of stonks. And but I see her talking about Babies Club all the time. Shout out to Babies Club. I don't own any, but I probably should buy some, if anything, just to support MG because she goes out and she made her own thesis on why she thinks it's going to do well, and she works on pushing it every day. And I'm sure that she's going to be successful because she is using the same kind of line of reasoning as you see in other people that are super successful and running super successful projects. That's the perfect example of something that hasn't played out yet, right? MG, Babies Club hasn't gone to millions and tens of millions yet. I'm sure it will, but it hasn't. It's taking something that hasn't done well yet and could do well. There's a value gap there, and you formulate a thesis, and then you act on the thesis, right? And then you work for your bag. It's all a waste of time and money if you don't. That's a good example. Again, I'm not paid by Babies Club to say anything. I don't own any, so I'm not pumping my bags. That's just the MG is like at the top of my list of people here because it's like me, Stonks, Saucy, Molon, Erms, and then MG, and like the top people on my space. So that's just why it came to mind. Another one is crying, right? Molon's a big crying cat guy. right? His Stonks is one of his bigger holdings, but he focuses on crying cat and so on, right? And there's a lot of really good examples that I could use, but that's just the type of play that I'm talking about. So that's what I did early on, and that's how I found a lot of success in this space. As far as some rules that I have for myself, everyone needs rules, right? The only way to keep yourself from getting hurt is by having rules. And you find these rules by listening to other people and hearing what their rules are, and then you can take inspiration from them. And also, whenever you make a loss in a trade, you should probably make a rule for yourself out of it. Like the other day, I didn't get liquidated, but I sold a leverage position at a decent sized loss. And the rule that I made for myself after that is don't add to your position when you're up. That's when you should take off of it. And I know that seems obvious, but that's something that even more experienced traders forget sometimes, right? And that was a position that I had a really good entry on. Then it exploded and I added more onto it. And then it corrected back to my entry. And I almost got liquidated because I added so much onto it above my original entry. And if you do add, you add incrementally. That was a new rule that I added to my list. And that's how I know that I'm never going to make that mistake again, which is why that $20,000 loss, that's okay with me because I learned something out of it and I saved myself from a situation further down the line. So that's the kind of mentality that you need to be approaching these things at if you really want to be a winner and always constantly improve. And so some of the rules that I have for myself are, let me pull up my list real quick, actually, so that I don't leave anything out. I made a pinned, I don't know if it's pinned actually, but I made a post in Because Bitcoin about all my rules, or just some of them, anyways. Saucy, you're unmuted, right?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. Sorry, I was getting my wife some food. Bro, you
No
lost
problem.
20 grand?
Yeah, that's
That a
fine.
guy. Fucking love it, dude. I think I lost 20 grand last month too.
Yeah,
Last 2 weeks.
it's not a big deal because it's like I'm at a point where it's not the end of the world for me. I leverage trade a lot and I make more than that a week. So it's not like I lost my shirt on anything. It's, oh, I lost a full week's of leverage trading profit. And now I've got to make it all back again. It's not the end of the world, but it is still expensive. And no matter how much money you already have, 20 grand is 20 grand.
Yeah, it's rough.
Hmm.
Listen, if someone's gonna participate in this game that is still pretty special, you're gonna face losses.
Oh, 100%. And no
Gonna
matter how
happen.
experienced you are, no matter how successful you are, you will still have a loss where you feel like the world is ending, right? That's going to happen no matter how experienced you are. It always happens. Always happens.
I agree.
If you can't handle the volatility to the downside, then you're not going to be able to reap the rewards of the volatility to the upside either. Anyways, I found my list of rules. Rule number one is I only size into any kind of new play when the volume is less than liquidity. So this does not count for gambles. This is just for new plays that I size into, right? So if the volume is less than the liquidity, then it's a green flag for me. If it's higher than the liquidity, then I probably missed it. And so a good example would be Stonks right now. What's Stonks sitting at? Stonks is at $258,000 in volume and $700,000 in liquidity. So anything below 50% of the liquidity is a shove zone. Like you're at a really good entry, you're very early. And anything lower than the liquidity in general is a good entry, in my opinion. And that's the kind of bar that I set for myself. So another example would be Fofar. Fofar is sitting at 200K with 500K in liquidity. That's probably a good entry here. A bad example is Wolf, right? Wolf just exploded a few days ago. I own a decent amount of Wolf, so I'm not going to add to my position, but it just tapped all-time highs actually. So it's super good for them. I'm super pleased. But right now, their volume is 2.6 mil and their liquidity is 2.8 mil, right? So not a good entry, right? You don't even need to look at the chart to tell if you're at a good entry or not. Another one would be GME on Solana, right? GME on Solana is pumping like crazy right now. We're up like 2.5x on my entry, which was public. I think Saucy, you remember that space, right? I just couldn't stop looking at the chart. uh,
Yeah,
yeah, we're up like 2.5x on it.
I
When
got it.
I did get in, the volume was less than $1 million, and the liquidity was around 4.8, 4.5, maybe 4 mil. So it was like a quarter of the LP, which is a fantastic entry. Right now, it's at 5.2 mil in liquidity and it's at 8.6 mil in volume. So probably not a good entry. And then you look at the chart to confirm it, and yeah, it's up. What is it up? 30% today. And it was up like another 50% the day before. So not a good entry. And it doesn't mean sell it. That's not what that means. But it's just not an entry that is worth it for me because I'm not trying to capture just part of the move. I want to capture the entire move. There's so many plays out there that it doesn't make sense to FOMO into something at 20 mil that's already up 100%. Like a new play today, Sense. Everyone's talking about Sense on Solana for some reason. And if it like people are FOMOing into this thing at 50 mil market cap and they're like, oh, it's gonna what if it goes to a billion? What if it's the next GOAT? And so what? That's a 20x. Whoop de doo. Like you can get a 20x anywhere. But you're buying a candle from zero all the way up to 50 million in basically 2 days. Like, why would you buy into that? There's so much risk because it's up so much, and there's not that much upside. Because even if it gets to a billion, which odds are it won't, because very few coins do, and this isn't the first in its own meta, right? Like, GOAT was the first in its category, which is why it was able to hit a billion. This is not the first in its category. So there's no reason why it would hit a billion. People who are saying it's the next GOAT, they're probably copers. And I'm not trying to FUD it. It's probably going to go to hundreds of millions. Who knows? But it feels like, what's the point, right? Why would I buy into this? I'm only going to get a couple of multiples. When I could buy into something like Stonks, and I think that it could pull as much of as like a 3x this week very easily. And I'm not saying that I'm counting on it to do a 3x this week. I don't really care if it does or not because I'm not selling this week. So I don't care if it goes up 3x this week. But yeah, so overall, I only buy things if I'm going to capture the entire move because there's so many plays out there, so many coins that haven't run. There's no point in buying something that's already started running. That's a pretty big rule for me. I only ever size into something if the volume is less than the liquidity. And even better if it's less than half the liquidity. That's my shove zone. Two, I only buy things with a strong narrative. So some of the questions I ask myself are, what is the meme? Will normies understand it? That's a big one. Is it even a meme at all? And if it isn't a meme, is it a beta play to something else, right? Does it have something that it's connected to that's going to force it higher? Is it and if it is a beta play, would I feel comfortable holding the alpha play on 10x leverage, right? And then will normies understand it? And is it relevant to crypto? And is it part of a meta or is it an evergreen token? So,
Sorry.
like, when I look at those questions, Stonks is the perfect token to me. That's why I buy so much of it. Like, I bought 30 ETH this week of Stonks. I'm going to keep on buying it literally forever. It's just so good. And that's because the answers to the questions on this list are, what is the meme? Stonks. Well, normies understand it. It is, other than Pepe and Doge, there is no more normie friendly meme. I've asked Chat GPT and Grok multiple different times, ranking memes by how well known they are, and Stonks is always top three. And the only other memes that are comparable to Stonks, according to these unbiased AIs, are Pepe and Doge. So the meme is stonks. Normies will understand it. Is it even a meme at all? Yes, it is. Is the meme relevant to crypto? It is the single most relevant meme to crypto that there is. Is it a standalone play or is it a beta play? It's a standalone play. There's nothing capping it. Is it part of a meta or is it an evergreen token? It's an evergreen token. So it stands on its own and it checks off all my metrics, right? So that's why I keep on buying it because it's so good and it's so extremely undervalued. Now, something else, Bobo. Bobo's very similar actually to Stonks as far as the answers to the questions. Let me think of something else. Um, Wolf, right? So wolf, what is the meme? It's wolf. Well, normies understand it. Some will, right? Because it's the same author as Pepe, right? It's from the same comic book. Some will understand it, yes. And it's not going to be as big as something like a poo, right? Normies are going to understand that pretty easily. They look at it and it's a very similar frog. Or Hoppy. Hoppy, again, very similar frog. So they're going to be like, oh, Pepe, that frog's at 50 billion and this frog's only at 1 billion or 500 million. I'm going to go buy the cheaper frog. But Wolf, it's still a very good narrative and I expect it to run. But yes, some normies will understand it. Is it even a meme at all? No, it's not. But if it isn't a meme, like I said, is it a beta play? Yes, it is. It's a beta play to Pepe. And is the alpha play something that I feel safe holding on 10x leverage? It is. I would feel comfortable holding Pepe on 10x leverage. So I'm comfortable holding Wolf. If it was something like, I don't know, what's a goat beta? Fart coin? I'm told that's GOAT beta. I wouldn't feel safe holding GOAT on 10x leverage because it's a new meme. I'm not super familiar with it. It hasn't been around for a while, and it's not something that has a really strong narrative, in my opinion. I wouldn't feel safe holding it on 10x leverage. Therefore, I wouldn't buy betas of it. But Pepe is something I would feel safe holding on 10x leverage. I think it's the Doge of this cycle. So I would feel safe holding Pepe beta. Is it a is it relevant to crypto? No. Is it part of a meta or is it an evergreen token? It's both. Like it performs when the boys club meta is around and when it's not. So it's leaning on the side of evergreen, and so that's something that I would invest in. Right? It checks enough of my boxes. Now, something that I wouldn't buy into is something like, I don't know, Bikey. I don't know if you guys remember the super diluted Knight Rider meta. That one was pretty rough. And during that, there's a lot of random stuff like Bikey. It's literally just a bike from the Knight Riders Club. It's not even a character. The bike's not alive. It's just a bike. And let's go through the list. Is it a meme? No. Will normies understand it? No, it's a bike. Is it even a meme at all? No, it's a bike. Is it the meme relevant to crypto? No, it's a bike. Is it a standalone or a beta play? And if it's beta play, is the alpha something I'd feel safe holding on 10x leverage? No, it's not a beta play. Is it part of a meta or is it evergreen? It's part of a meta. So that literally gets a red flag on every single one of my questions. So I would never hold that. That's trash. And so those are some of the questions that I use to help distinguish between good plays or good narratives and bad narratives. I'm going to drop a screenshot of all these rules below afterwards. Rule number 3 is don't try and catch every move. You don't need to play every meta and win on every single big mover, right? I turned like $200 into 5 figures on a 2 month play dodo, and then I turned 5 figures into 6 figures on a 3 month play, which was bird dog, and then I turned that into 7 figures on a 5 month play, which is stonks. Right? I take low risk, high conviction, high reward plays that are slow cooks. I have never once caught the main mover of a meta. Like I have never bought Moodang or Goat or Bohm or all of these random things that go from 0 to 1 billion like overnight or hundreds of millions. Nor do I need to. I'm gonna take the consistent, easy, safe money that I just have to wait for. It's literally free money if I just sit and wait. Don't FOMO into every meta. I have never played a meta except for the Knight Rider meta because I saw that one coming. I predicted it coming, so I bought into everything at like sub 100K market cap, and they all went to millions, and it was great. But I did that like a month in advance, and that wasn't because of me. That was because of a friend named Albert. He told me to. Everyone needs an Albert. And so, yeah, I've never played a meta. I've never bought into these random movers. And yes, I do feel FOMO. And sometimes I'm like, man, my plays are underperforming those. But I take the safe, consistent, sized money. And that's how I've grown my portfolio from 4 figures to 7 figures in just a few months. And if you can't wait just a couple months, if you're not patient enough to wait a couple of months and really work for your bags for a 100x, imagine not being patient enough to wait for 5 to 7 figures, right? And you're not able to work for just a couple months to make an insane amount of money, then you don't deserve that money, being straight with you. And rule number four, and this is probably the biggest one, but the voice in the back of your head that says, I can sell just a little bit of my insert conviction play here to make a quick flip and buy back is a liar. That voice is a liar. Never sell your conviction plays to flip other tokens. You will burn yourself more often than not. It's just not worth it. Just don't sell your conviction plays, right? I myself, the way that I have my wallet set up is I have designated hot wallets, right? I've got 3 of them at the moment, and I fund each of these wallets um, with 20 to 30% of my portfolio, and that number is different for everybody. This is just what I do, and I don't recommend anyone does the same. This is just sharing what I do. But I fund these hot wallets with about 30% of my portfolio, so 10% in each. And what I do for these plays is I have a designated conviction play for each. Right now, all 3 of them are accumulating stonks because there's nothing else that I like more than stonks right now. And what they do, and I've bought literally like 6 to 7% of the stonk supply doing this. And I don't have all that stonk supply still because I use that supply to pay for things and I give it away and I use it for exchanges and stuff like that. But this is something that works. This is something like a method that I use that works and I consistently accumulate supply. And what I do is I split up that amount. Like right now, I'll be transparent about one of my wallets. Right now, I hold in my hot wallet number one, I hold about $20,000 in stonks, 20K in Fofar, 20K in Draggy, and about 30 something in ETH, right? And so what I do is I find myself between 2 and 3 low risk plays that I think are going to do a 3 to 5x in the near future, like in the next month, maybe even 2 months, right? That's how long I'm willing to wait for these. And I buy into those with a third of the free ETH, like that bag or that wallet. I try and consistently have around 60K in ETH in that wallet. And I'm being brutally honest, I don't really like talking numbers, but I'm just sharing exact numbers to make it easier. I keep 60K in that wallet minimum. And then whenever I find a new play, I put 20K into it. And then as soon as it 3x's, I take out 2/3 and then I put over 1/3 into stonks, and 1/3 goes into ETH, like just back into ETH to wait for the next play, and then I put the remaining 1/3 that's in tokens still that I did not cash out, and I put that into my long-term storage. So right now I've got Fofar and Draggy. I've got about 20K in each, full transparency. And when Fofar, for example, when my bag there hits 60K, I'm going to sell $40,000 worth respectfully. Don't be a jerk and ruin charts. I'm going to do it respectfully over the course of several days as to not impact the chart. And 40,000 is going to go into buying stonks, or 20,000 is going to go into, it's just going to go back into ETH to keep in that hot wallet to look for the next play. And then the remaining 20,000 that's still in tokens that I've not sold is going to just stay in Fofar tokens and I'm sending it over to my long-term storage wallet, right? And that way I keep a moon bag, I build my stonks, and I keep enough in ETH to fund the next play. So I don't have to sell stonks or whatever I'm accumulating to get there, right? And I have 3 different wallets. I've got like 10 plays that I'm looking at right now. So I do this a lot. And that's how I buy so much stonks, right? Because this works. This really works. And right now, if you may not be able to do 10 different plays at a time, like this takes practice and this takes experience. I don't have a perfect win rate with these, but this is something that I do and I've gotten better at. And right now, I'm sitting on pretty high win rate. Now, I will say also, I don't always win on these plays, right? Like I also bought into Updog on that wallet, right? And I bought into Updog with 20K. It immediately pulled a 50% move. And then once it got to my trend line, it rejected. So I cut it and I didn't make much money off of it. I made like off of a 20K investment. So it's not like I didn't really make anything. And I cut it by DCAing out over the course of 48 hours using the Jupiter DCA bot, right? It is what it is. You need to be able to watch all of these charts consistently and protect your seed investment. That's the rule, like the number one rule. You got to protect your seed investment. I did share Updog in my Telegram at 2 mil, and right now it's at 2.5 mil. So everyone should be in profit. I don't want anyone saying that I dumped on anybody because I did not. I was very careful not to affect the chart. It just didn't look good. So I cut it, had to protect my seed money. And that's probably the number one rule when doing this for myself, protect the seed money. Because if you lose seed money, then you're going to only recoup that from taking out of how much you cut and buy into stonks, right? So if I lost seed money there and faux far hit a 3x and then I cash out 40 out of the 60K, I can't buy 20K out of stonks like I had originally planned because I'm only buying with the excess after I get to 60K in ETH. So it's important to protect the seed money because protecting your seed money protects your stonks or whatever conviction play you're accumulating. And again, this is just a strategy that I use. It's not going to work for everybody. All right. Don't size into things that you don't have high conviction in. Don't be surprised when you lose because if you're playing the small cap meme coin game, you're going to lose like a solid 30% of the time. And that's if you're really good and you only lose 30% of the time. So it's not foolproof, but that's the strategy that I use, and that's how I accumulate stonks. I think that's all my tips. Focus on learning. Don't FOMO into things. Buy floored charts, things that haven't moved yet. Buy things when nobody's talking about them. Like right now, a lot of people are talking about GME on Solana. We bought into that a month ago when it was sitting at 20 mil market cap and no one cared. Yeah, I think that's it. Saucy, do you have any tips for the people?
No, we go check your TG.
Yeah, I got
I
you.
really did like that. Was good shit though. I fucking learned some shit. I shoot from the hip a lot more, and it's not always the best approach, to be quite honest with you. Sometimes it really fucking sucks dick.
100%.
Yeah. And contrary to popular belief, I don't really like sucking dick.
You had us fooled.
That's it. No, but I like it. I'm just like locked in, and I've been consolidating how I trade. And trust me, dude, that fucking 1% of peanut I sold at 90K has haunted me for a week or so now. But that's just the space that we're in. I think that to a point that you made, you got to be able to really compartmentalize stuff here. You have to also be able to compartmentalize wins. So your losses, your fumbles, and your wins, because it's such a volatile space that the second you catch yourself lacking emotionally, you will be exit liquidity. You will 100% be exit liquidity. Jules one day was talking about how, like, when you hit a trade, maybe take your day, keep your shit in your Solana or your ETH or whatever, and just chill so you can reset because you need to be able to compartmentalize every move that happens that triggers an emotional reaction because it's a very volatile space. And so think of it, you got to think of it like this too. There's people out here that are way better at you than this. There's people out here that have better tools than you. And then even beyond that, there's people that have information way before you do. And so you're trading in all of those situations against people like that. Okay? And so that's the other thing like with the peanut thing for me, it fucking sucks, dude. But I also have to understand like I always go back to the chart and I'm like, every point that I would have sold it, every emotional thing I would have had to overcome, and really just be logical with all of the things on a journey like that that would happen. And that helps me to stay on both feet stay focused, stay locked in, and continue growing. And in my opinion, everybody that's here should be in the mindset of stacking. And then when that luck and preparation does meet, you get the rocket ship, right? But it's a result of stacking, not a result of rocket ship hunting. I don't know, just
Exactly.
gonna.
And you made a really good point there. Compartmentalization really is key, and having a system is key. I don't
Mhm.
think there's anything that I've learned that's more important than that. You need to have a system, and everything needs to be separate. You need to have different wallets that do different things. I have multiple long term wallets, I have a cold wallet, I have three hot wallets at the moment. And then I've got like a dozen just random wallets that I don't really know what they're for. I just use them sometimes. Everyone's got a couple of random wallets, but like you need to have uh, all your wallets need to have purpose, right? And all the money in it needs to be compartmentalized. And again, this is just what works for me. It's not financial advice, but this is because if you don't separate your money and you don't make your money work in a specific way, then you open yourself up to a lot of mistakes, like mixing your conviction bags with your low conviction bags, right? Because then you're going to treat your conviction bags like your low conviction bags. You need to
Mhm.
have wallets that you just don't touch stuff inside of them. And you need to have a system, right? Like with my hot wallets, I just explained a very mechanical, objective system. I have specific numbers that I sell at, regardless of what the chart looks like. I take profits at this amount so that I always, no matter what, have enough money for the next play, right? And always preparing for the next play is an extremely important thing. Because let's say I don't prepare for the next play, then I round trip on Fofar, and all of a sudden there's a new play that comes along that I know is going to do super well, and I only have my original position in Fofar because I round trip to 3x. Right now, I have to sell my $20,000 in Fofar in order to get into a new play. Right. Whereas if I stuck with my guns and I sold on the 3x, I've got and then it retraces like 60%. Now I've got a moon bag of what was $20,000. I guess it's a third of that now, so it's like 6.3K ish. I've still got that much FOFAR set aside, and then I've got $20,000 in ETH, and I can go and buy into that new play with that $20,000 in ETH, and I've still got $26,000 left over, right? So you're preserving your capital, you're preserving your moon bag, because later on, FOFAR is going to pull a 10x at least by the end of the cycle, right? Everything will. So that moon bag of 6K is going to be 60K later on. So I just saved myself 60K by taking profits, right? And then Stonks is also going to do like well over 100x from here, in my opinion. So I'm saving myself what's 100x on top of 20K, 2 mil, right? So I'd be saving myself 2 mil and $60,000 by taking profits. That's pretty huge, right? And so that's just an example. And take those numbers with a grain of salt because this is all purely hypothetical. But that's why it's so important to stay mechanical, stay objective, always stick by your system, stick by your rules, and compartmentalize. Like after I take my profits on Fofar, I'm sending that remaining third to my cold wallet or a long term wallet that I just don't touch, right? And I'm never going to sell that until peak bull market, and then I'll exit it. And when that happens, it's going to be a lot higher than here. And it's going to go through multiple 80 to 90% drawdowns between now and then. But I'm okay with that because it's going to be my cold storage or my long term wallet. I'm not going to touch it until peak bull run. And if it goes to zero, that's okay because I also took 20K in profit and I put that into Stonks. And so some people will say, take your initials out on the 2x. I say on the 3x because the 3x allows you to make profits and lock in a win no matter what happens. Because if you take it out on the 2x, you're risking your initial for potentially nothing, right? If you buy into something and then you take out your initials on the 2x and then the other thing, it just goes to zero, like then you didn't win anything from it. You just exposed yourself to risk for no reason. So I say on the 3x, that's what I like. And I only do the 3x. and I only buy into things that I'm confident are gonna 3x. And I don't win it every time. Again, like I said, like Updog, I didn't win on Updog. I didn't get the 3x there. I only do things that I think there's a good chance of 3xing in the near future. Very important to stay compartmentalized.
You didn't read your telegram.
No, probably not. Let me see.
Jesus, fucking ridiculous. It's like working with a kid, dude. You're like a savant. You're like Rain Man with the
Rain
charts.
Man?
Yeah.
Who's Rain Man?
God, you're so fucking young, dude. You need to go watch the movie Rain Man. Maybe not.
Uh,
Maybe it's better that you don't watch it now.
but yeah, do you have any final tips?
Not really final tips, no. Just focus. Focus is the main thing.
100%. Now we're gonna open up the stage if anyone wants to do a Q&A. Like you can ask any questions you want, come on up stage. If you have any questions about the tips or about stonks, you're more than welcome to ask them. For the recording bit, to whoever's listening, this is where we're gonna end the recording for Spotify and YouTube. I don't know if they cut there. Hey, you're welcome on stage, anyone. And if you don't want to come up and speak, but you still have a question, pinned up to the space, the original post where I have on the space because the purple pill doesn't work because I'm shadow banned. Someone's salty that they missed out on stonks, so they mass reported me. So I'm shadow banned right now. Just go to the pinned posts and you'll find the post with the space and you can ask your question there.
I've been choosing violence lately.
Molon, welcome to the stage, man. How's it going?
Dude, what a day, man. How are y'all doing? What's up, Saucy?
What's up, brother?
Yeah, I made the biggest fucking boot today. I trade leverage on isolated, and I've really just been sticking to Bitcoin and Solana. You get to know a chart when you're just in it all day, every day. And looking at the ETH BTC chart, I'm like, fuck, I might get lucky and really catch a move on ETH. And so for the last couple of days, I've been looking at ETH a lot more closely, and I did not realize I pulled 22K today, one of my better days. And I took a trade on ETH and walked away, went and had some tuna tostadas, came home. My stop loss was like 2,500 bucks. Gave back 12 of it because it was on isolated on one of my, it was on cross on one of my accounts. Just fucking what a day. But man, I really like those tips. They're good. And man, there's a long time to go, and patience is a virtue. And I got lucky and caught stonks through being introduced to you a couple months ago, and really have just shied away from trenches and staying at trading. Historically, I've traded energy commodities, and it really is no different when you're talking about learning and never stop learning. When people get demoralized or take a big loss, a lot of people will move on to the next thing. And that's really the opportunity to be resilient and persevere through that adversity. And it sucks to lose, but I don't know, very few people in life that have had any measurable degree of success had big losses, and no one hears about them because until you watch the documentary. Just to echo a little bit of what you had said, Guardian, if y'all are new here, surround yourself with good people. Um, those shitters that you in the trenches, anything under a million, pump fund, 99.9% fail rate. So get in and get out. I think it's fine for people to do. A lot of people trying to level up, but it's a very difficult thing to do. You're typically not the person who was buying at the floor. So there's always someone underneath you. There's always a chat before you when you're getting in. And remember that. And this is I think there's some rationale behind this might be a left translated cycle. There's some credence to it being a super cycle that goes to 26, but we have at least 6 months. And so you get in, prioritize, keep your mind and body healthy, and create a discipline. And part of that discipline is being able to identify good projects that have good leadership, good community, good meme. There's a formula for success here. And there are a lot of tokens that'll just run like the first day, like this one act. Look, this is all insider shit, you know? And depending on how much money you have, you're not going to put $10,000 into a $50,000 market cap token. Everybody's going to sell into it because you just 3x the project. And finding these kind of $5 to $20 million projects where their chart is healthy and these other characteristics of meme and leadership and community. There are a lot of great projects out there. And shoot, man, I'm stoked to be. I think there's a lot of really good stuff that we can do to activate down the line, and a lot of stuff that I'll be doing. But I don't know. I'm just echo what you said, Guardian. A lot of most all of us come here to make life changing money. A good majority of people are losing, and that's because they're not developing the right habits and they're not listening to the voice. Would you say the voice in the back of your head is usually wrong? Yeah, that greed, that get rich quick, it happens to so few people. And we've all really got this opportunity of a lifetime in front of us. And it's just about habits and discipline and sticking with high probability plays. And so that means you might sit in and play for a little while, but if it's got the ingredients, odds are you're going to be eating cake. And anybody in this room right now that's not holding stonks, I'm super bullish on what I see out of the community. I sat in the TG and would just scroll through past the buy bots, and everybody's active. There's not any fighting, there's no drama. There's a lot of different people that I see consistently working. They raid. Guardian's a hell of a leader. In this meme, like I went and chat GPT'd it. What are the top financial memes? And I was like, what are the top memes of money? And Stonks was in the top 5 of all of them. And there's something to be said about that. I spent about an hour today on Reddit just trying to find financial groups. And I'll go to other platforms and try to find whether it's financial advisors, whether it's whatever it is. This meme has got so much fucking potential. It's ridiculous. And it just keeps really dawning on me that I'm sitting on a fucking gold mine, and 6 to 12 months from now, all of us who saw it early are going to get to reap the rewards and dump on the normies' heads. And that's just how it goes. And next cycle, they can learn the process. But until then, shout out to all the stonks fucking holders. It's about discipline and sticking by your guns of things that work, because those fucking TikToks and Instagram reels that you see of someone making $1 million in 36 hours, it's equivalent to winning the lottery. And so it's probably not going to happen to you, but it is very possible to turn $5,000 into $1 million if you develop a good discipline and surround yourself with good people, and you have the patience to sit in projects that you have high conviction in because of the team, the leadership, the meme, and the lore. So shout out to all y'all.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, man. And I agree with literally everything that you said. It's about finding a strong meme with a dedicated team and a real community. And I don't ever invest in things that don't have all three of those. And Stonks literally is the best out of any meme that I see in all three of those. I don't think there is a better narrative. I think that Stonks is literally the best meme narrative out there. It's the biggest financial meme of all time. It's in the top three most well memes of all time out of all memes in crypto. It is the most relevant to crypto out of all the memes in crypto. and it is huge. It is a global movement. Funny thing, I actually compared, or I asked Grok to compare Stonks to Mog, and I asked Grok, which meme is more well known, Stonks or Mog? And it said, and this isn't an exact quote, but this is the wording that it uses, very specific. It said, comparing Stonks to Mog is like comparing internet culture versus a niche community, right? The culture coin is niche compared to the global movement of culture that Stonks has caused. And that's how big this meme is. And Mog is not something that's tiny, right? It is a pretty well known meme. So I say that just to grasp how big the meme narrative is. And as far as the team goes, I personally can vouch for everyone on the team. And I myself, I have bought six figures worth in the past week, and I will continue to buy. Right. The other day, there was this whale that had almost 1% of the supply, and he was selling like 1 ETH clips. And I tweeted out, whoever owns this wallet, DM me. I'd like to OTC your bag, and that was like $150,000. Like I don't want to say I'm definitely not the best lead out there, but there's not very many devs that are constantly putting up their own money on the line that really believe in it that much. Like I see Max from Because Bitcoin constantly buying more Andy, and I don't know too many other devs that are literally putting up money every single day to buy on the chart. And as far as community goes, Stonks is the original finance community, like the original global cult community. And that's what everyone's looking for in crypto right now. They're all going crazy over cult communities. And Stonks is the original, it's the OG. It was tens of millions of people all across the world uniting behind the Stonks banner to send GME to the moon, right? Screw the hedge funds, screw the institutional money that manipulates the markets. And this was tens of millions of people, right? And this is the global community that migrated to Bitcoin and caused the 2021 bull run. So not only is this community literally the biggest crypto community out there, but it is something that had a major effect on how Bitcoin was formed in the Bitcoin community in the last bull run and how significant the bull run was. That was an effect of the Stonks movement in 2020 and 2021. So I don't think that there's anything better in all three of those categories. Jake, welcome to the stage. How's it going, man?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been going pretty good. I've been hanging in there. Me myself, I've made a couple mistakes in the past. It's just forward thinking, just put those in the back behind me and move forward. But yeah, I also wanted to talk about seeing that how Bitcoin has an ETF now on the stock market. And if anybody was looking to make a couple extra bucks, this is one of the easiest ways for leverage trading that there is, in my opinion. And one reason for that is because if Bitcoin makes a move in one direction, like strongly in the opposite direction that you had betted, then you don't get washed out. You don't really lose all your money. So option trading is based on a time schedule. That's one thing I like about it is you don't lose everything just because Bitcoin makes a 10% move or 20% move in the wrong direction. Like you can always get that back. But yeah, anyways, what I wanted to say was that if anybody plays with options and they wanted to get some tips on how to work it, then definitely DM me because I've been doing that for a while and I haven't been doing it lately, but studied it a lot. I took a couple courses on it and I know a lot about it. Like, for example, the last trade that I did, it was like 2 years, well, 2 years ago. Yeah, so I took $2,500, and so on these larger trades that you get when a stock or Bitcoin, say if it was like Bitcoin and it's at 80,000 right now, and you hear me come in the chat and you're like, and you see me saying, oh, Bitcoin's going to 100K, and then you look at the option trades for the prices for them, and it's a certain amount of money, which is the higher the price of the stock or the crypto, then the higher you're going to pay per contract for the options. But there's certain ways that you can lower the cost of it. So you can do things called like spreads, right? So you can expose yourself to like between 80,000 and 90,000. If you want to expose yourself to that move, but nothing more past 90, then it reduces the cost of your option trades by a lot. And I did that with Boeing, and I put $2,500 in there, and I was able to do, back when Boeing was ripping from 180 to 190, I got in at 190, and I did a spread from 190 to $200 with $2,500, and then I came out with 25,000. I was able to do that because I did the spread, and I lowered my cost to buy the contract. Otherwise, the cost of the contracts can be astronomical. Like if you look at Tesla right now, to buy a call contract on that they can be anywhere from $26 to $40 per contract, which equals, when you see that, whether you're trading on Robinhood or whatever platform you're using, you pretty much add a couple zeros to the back end of that. So if it's $26, then you're paying $2,600 for one contract. But anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there, that if anybody's looking for a different way or different style of leverage trading using calls or puts, then definitely reach out to me and DM me, because there's a bunch of different ways that you can manipulate the leverage trading. And if you haven't heard about it before, if you think that the stock or the crypto is not going to go anywhere for the next month and it's just going to stay the same price, then you can capitalize on that too. One of the most degenerate things I've been exposed to when I first got into this, I had signed up for Benzinga Pro, and they have chat rooms on there, and there's some really good traders on there. They'll be typing out stuff and letting people know what their ideas are. When GME was trading at $2 or $3, there were 3 or 4 traders in there that were selling puts. Say if you have $10,000 in your account, you can sell up to $10,000 worth of puts, because you got to cover the amount that you're going to receive as soon as you sell. Because when you sell puts, they give you the money right away. And so they were taking that money from the puts they were selling at the $2 or $3 mark and buying calls at the $7 mark. And so they were pretty much doubling their money that was in their account, and then leverage trading the money that they just doubled for it to go up. Needless to say, I didn't get in on that, but I was watching them talk about it, and it was like they killed it. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to step up onto the stage and let anybody know that there's different ways to do leverage trading. And one of the biggest things I would say is that if you do it, never ride it out to the end for an option trade, because the big money, they usually are invested into this too. And so they'll usually manipulate it at the end to make it so that whatever they sold you or the people, the public, it gets nullified, it gets washed out at the end. But you can sell it before the end, and you can get your money out before that happens. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to say hi to everybody. I'm chilling out here back in Hawaii, drinking some beers. I'm chilling, watching Stonks. I can't believe that we're at this market cap with the amount of volume that we have. Like, I'm looking at all these other coins, and yeah, they got more volume, but we're at a higher market cap. It's fucking nuts, dude. I don't know. Oh, hey, Gardy, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I myself, I've never actually opened an options trade. I usually stick to futures, but I have been messing around with it on paper, and I'm actually considering opening some options, some calls on GME for Christmas next year. I think GME is gonna pull at least like a 3, maybe 4x in that time. Looking at the Russell makes me super optimistic. But that reminds me, like, there's another major something that I find very important is never being stagnant. Always learn new things, and that includes new sectors in crypto and in the finance markets in general, because these things apply to stocks as well, right? You want to make sure that if you feel like you've really gotten down the ETH game, then learn Solana. If you've gotten both down, then learn leverage trading. And if you've gotten your futures down, then learn options, right? Always learn something. because there's going to come a time when the market is primed specifically for a certain way of making money. And if you don't know how to play the game, then you're going to be sitting out. Like when the bear run comes, are you going to be able to short everything? Or are you just going to sell and just watch as everything goes down and be like, okay, I'm going to wait to buy the bottom? Like there's so much money in playing both the upside and the downside. So learn how to short things. And there's a lot of money in calls and puts, which are basically the equivalents of longs and shorts. But it's you're betting on speculation is the best way to describe it. Instead of you're buying and selling speculation. Like you think that you're saying, I think it's going to go up by this time, and so you're buying a bet basically that it's going to go up, and it's leveraged to the amount that it does increase. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yep. Yeah.
If you want to,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you want to learn it, definitely look up some YouTube videos on it and spend a lot of time practicing on paper before you actually do it. With that, I will say though that we are running out of time. We're at just over an hour and a half, and I don't want to make it too rough on our editors. I'm going to close it up here unless anyone has any final statements that are important.
I got a statement. Let's fucking go, Stonks, baby! Let's go!
Let's do.
I love that energy. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Saucy, Molon, and Jake for coming up on the stage. We talked about the markets, we talked about stonks, and we talked about some trading strategies, some tips from myself, from Saucy, from Molon, and from Jake, all of which are experienced traders. And I'll see you all next week. And if you missed the space, you can find it on Spotify and YouTube, right? We have our own Stonks account on there. You can find that on we have our own weird version of Linktree in our description on Twitter, and we also have our website, right? Look on the website, you'll be able to find our Spotify and our YouTube there. Thanks everybody for coming.